This is not a dog training seminar. It sounded better with the music, actually. I was very, very quiet, and I'm feeling a little strange. So, once again, this is not a dog training seminar. What we're going to do here today is we're just going to cover the power of understanding basic canine behaviors. Why dogs do what dogs do. So I've been working with dogs for a long time. I come from breeding background, so some of you rescues that are in here probably want to leave now. But if you don't leave now, suffice to say I learned most of what I learned from my parents early on when we raised Siberian Huskies. And my stepfather was a little bit more of the Keeler type of method, the yank and crank type of method. And that's where I got the majority of how I learned to interact with dogs until I got late into my 30s when I started reading as much as I could and watching different CDs and going to work with different people to sort of develop a different way of handling dogs, a different understanding of handling dogs. So there's sort of two camps. One camp is the positive only reinforcement style, don't ever look at your dog in the wrong way. And then there's the, roll your dog over no matter what he's doing and hold him down like you see on TV. So again, I've sort of crossed both of those in order to learn to do what it is that I do. And I don't do any holding dogs down or any Keeler method or any of that type of stuff. I'm just trying to explain that I've been on that side of the fence, and I've been on the side of the fence where we actually work together with what a dog is actually thinking and doing, and I've gotten tremendous results. Okay, so just a little bit of a background. I developed some of this over a long period of time, but it started when I was about 10 years old. This didn't start when I was 10 years old. It took a really long time to make this slide, and it's been 30 years in the making. But when I was about 10 years old, again, my parents bred Siberian Huskies, and there was a Siberian Husky that we had named Frosty, big white bull male, who was very, very, very human and dog aggressive. It had probably something to do with my stepfather. That's another story for a different audience, right? Just me and my psychiatrist. So basically, nobody could interact with this dog at all. We had him inside some runs, and nobody could go out there and do anything with him. They would slide food in. Only my stepfather could handle him. And there was a big sign in your own backyard that says, "Beware of dog." In your own backyard, right? So we were doing something wrong. So one day I was out there, again, I may not have been 10, I may have been about 12, but I went up to the run where he was at, and I'm not exactly sure why, but decided that I wanted to go into that run and take him out for a walk. When I got into the run, I remember opening it, and he was jumping up and down, lunging at me, and I remember getting inside, being more worried that I was going to leave the door open and get in trouble than I initially was about the big Siberian Husky that was trying to bite me. And I can remember it like yesterday. I remember standing there with my fingers, the white of my knuckles on the chain link fence, and him right behind me, and thinking to myself, oh, this is it, I'm going to die. This is it, it's over, and this is how I go. And a funny thing happened, which began the development sort of this system, was that he went through this cycle that we're going to kind of talk about here today. And what I found is that if you practice that cycle, it doesn't matter what type of dog you're dealing with, you can get some results. Now, obviously, not everybody here is going to go out and try to work with some crazy dog, but it works with crazy dogs, and it works with totally sane dogs, if there is such a thing, and all across the board. So again, what I'm sort of going to talk about here today is understanding what it is that we're doing. In our society today, we have this idea that it's the dog. The dog is broken, something's wrong with my dog. And as long as we have that particular mentality, nothing is going to change. When we realize, hey, I'm the producer here, I'm the director here, it's not my dog, whatever my dog is doing can be fixed, we can make these particular changes. Okay? So the first thing I want to cover is one of the big things that's going on today, and it's called the never again syndrome. Now, the never again syndrome starts off with a dog being surrendered, going into a shelter, being pulled by a rescue, matched or mismatched with the family, and then returning back, or being surrendered back into the shelter again. Now, research is beginning to show that the surrendering process has a lot to do with the mismatching of dogs and people. Okay? So, once we've mismatched, we've got a high energy person with a low energy dog, we've got a dominant dog with a submissive owner, whatever it is. Once we've mismatched, okay, and then the dog goes into the shelter, right? The dog undergoes a tremendous amount of stress at this point, and during that stressful time, again, is pulled by a rescue, and the rescue or the fosters or the forever family that pulls that dog thinks that that dog has been through a tremendously rough time, and oh my God, baby, never again will you ever feel any pain in this world. Now, that's fantastic for people. Please, anybody that wants to do that to me outside, wonderful, okay? I got a lot of stuff that I've childhood stuff I'm working through. But for dogs, it doesn't work so much, okay? What you're doing right now has nothing to do with where you came from. The more that we go back to the fact that this poor dog had this, and all of those things I'm sure may be true, but in terms of behavior, so please, if I'm causing any resemblance right now, I apologize. In terms of behavior, never again syndrome does not work, okay? What we have to do as a society is say, that's terrible what you did. You need to assimilate into our group because that's not going to happen again, right? But not because we feel sorry for you. Not because we're going to give you space. Not because we're going to let you become comfortable. Not because of anything other than we are going to move forward. This is our new life. This is your new opportunity. This is this moment. And we have the ability to move forward and to be happy, healthy, and free. Okay? So, again, this is happening. This is not me saying it. This is just what is happening out there today. And it doesn't mean that it's happening with everyone, every rescue, every owner. It just means that it is happening. And we have to be aware of that process. So, once we understand that generally people get mismatched with an animal or something happens that they cannot control, the dog ends up in the shelter, the dog either gets euthanized or perhaps gets adopted by a rescue or a forever home. The idea is that it needs to stop there, right? We need to stop the process there. So how do we stop that process? We stop that process by educating people, right? People are the ones that are going to make the difference. Now, the most adaptable creature on the planet outside of the human being is the wolf. It's on every single continent in the world. It needs no external form of protection from the elements. It lives in the desert, in the jungles, in the snow, right? It is a predator. It works together. It shares love. It does everything that we do other than fight amongst itself, right? So the most adaptable creature other than a human being is the wolf. We then took that adaptable creature and we gave it a bunch of different jobs, and that's where we came up with breeds. Okay, we asked them to burrow into holes. We asked them to hunt different types of creatures. We asked them to do all kinds of things, from smelling cancer in people to jumping out of airplanes with soldiers. This is the most adaptable creature on the planet. And yet we cannot get the 5-pound mini pin to not bark at people when they come to our house. Right? Okay? So again, something is wrong with that picture. Is it the mini pin? No. Right? Is it that I'm not doing anything when the mini pin does something? Maybe. But again, we're going to go through this process. But what I want you guys to understand is the most important thing that we can do going forward is to understand who am I and what am I going to do with my dog when I have it. And most of you in this room have a dog or you're in rescue. So whether this helps fosters or anybody else, the information that we're going to cover should be pretty helpful if you just kind of open your mind to it a little bit and see it from a different perspective. Okay, there's a lot of training styles, a lot of different methodologies. Right now, in order to drink from this cup, you're going to have to just empty out just a little bit of all that other stuff that you've gotten from TV and books and everywhere else. Okay, but I think you'll see that as we move through this, it all makes sense and it's all systematic. Okay. So, as with anything on the planet, when we're looking at the problem of dogs in the shelter, overpopulation, over-euthanasia, lack of retention, mismatching, we have to look at a couple of things. we have to define the problem, we have to try to locate a solution, and then try to come up with a course of action. Okay, this seminar is the course of action. The problem is, again, we've got mismatching, we've got poor handling, we've got people that just don't know. They may be undereducated in some senses. Locating a solution. Now, this is not bigger because I'm subliminally advertising training with people. It's just that I think this is a very important part, right? But this is equally as important. Some people will say, well, that's just the way my dog is. He just doesn't like people. He just doesn't like Chinese men that are 5'7" with mustaches and wear red hats on Thursday. It's just the way he is. That's just who he is. And at the end of the day, again, that's not necessarily true, right? Dogs are what we make them. That's what they were bred to do. They want to please us. So if their behavior is negative and we try to modify that behavior, in most cases, they're going to comply, right? We're not trying to force them to do things. We're not trying to turn them into puppets. But if my dog is out of control, if he's got a negative behavior, and I try to change that behavior, and it makes sense to him, right, by going through this course of action, then in most cases, the dog is going to change that behavior, okay? So again, behavior, like anything else, is just a set of things that are in the dog's mind that the dog is reacting to, right? He looks at his environment, and he's responding to that environment. There's what is called discriminatory intellect, and then instinctual intellect. Discriminatory says this room is not big enough, right? It says that's right, that's wrong, right? A dog doesn't care. A dog doesn't look at your living room and say, if that couch weren't there, this would be so much more fun, right? Or we need another floor on this house. That's discriminatory intellect. That's what we have. Good, bad, small, hot, whatever it is. Instinctual is basically where the dog looks and says, this is bad, or this causes pain, and this does not cause pain. So I'm just going to kind of, it's that responding. When I touch the stove, I'm not thinking to myself, I wish I wasn't burning my fingers as it's going on. So again, our understanding of the way that I want my dog to be is a direct product of what it is that I am doing to get that end result. Okay? So we have to define the problem. There may be some mismatches. We have to locate a solution. We have to figure out a way to ask ourselves, who are we? What types of dogs should I be working with? Right? And do I need to go and get some outside assistance? Okay? So many resources available today. And again, I always tell people, go out and read everything you can. Don't get confused. Everything is contextual. So you want to look at one thing and then you want to match it against something and ask some questions. Okay? But there is a lot of information out there. But you want to locate that solution and then you want to go about trying to fix that problem. So the next thing here is understanding people and dog types. So there are basically 3 types of people and 3 types of dogs. Right? So the first type, look at this guy here. This is kind of cool, just kind of hanging out here. This guy here looks a little bit more like he's going to come at you. And this lady right here, oh, never again, baby, right? Okay? Now, again, take a look here. Submissive, here, dominant, here, relaxed, and neutral. Okay? Now, these are actually types of people and types of dogs. So we can begin the first mismatch by saying, if I'm a super laid-back person and I have a dominant dog, I might have a problem. This might not be the best dog for my situation. It does not mean that you cannot have that dog and not have a fantastic, wonderful relationship. It just means that you have to do something. You have to use some resources toward getting there. Okay? I've had dogs that they were alpha dogs, and an alpha dog is a partnership. It's not, I'm the pack leader and you are a follower, or any of that type of thing. They don't need your direction in most cases, right? They have enough confidence, right? And they're dominant enough that they don't necessarily need you to tell them what to do, and they'll still be okay in most instances. But if, for example, we were to take this neutral person and we were to match him with this neutral dog, we would immediately have compatibility. If we were to take this dominant person, he would be best suited to work with this dominant dog, right? Because he has the type of personality required in order to work with that dog. Okay? Did somebody say yes for a little bit? I heard that. Right. And these people here, they need to be together. They must be together. Okay? That's why they're so close to one another. right? Now, the dominant individual can work with all three dogs. Okay? So if you're a go-getter, you're the type of person that understands, hey, it's not personal, I just want a good result, I'm going to put in the work necessary to get this dog to be who I want him to be. You're this individual right here, and you don't think you're going to hurt the dog's feelings, and he's not going to like you, and all that kind of stuff. Fantastic. So this is the perfect dog owner for most types of dogs. Okay? Right? Now, this person here is also a very good owner. Right? A neutral owner is somebody that understands it's not in my personality. It's not necessarily who I am. However, I can work with a more dominant dog. I can absolutely work with a neutral dog, and I can work with a submissive dog. Again, this person is the one that has the majority of the problems. Now, again, that's not to say that that's bad. From a human perspective, that's fantastic. I love people that are loving. I love people that come from the heart. That is a wonderful trait to have with humans. When it comes to dogs, if a dog is in a position where he's nervous, anxious, tense, fearful, whatever it is, and all we do is try to give him love toward that, we amplify that state of mind. So when a dog is nervous and we pet him, we amplify the state, right? Before anything else. We're not giving him support. He doesn't understand it. Like, you're right, you should be nervous, right? So right before this seminar, you say, oh, well, what if nobody comes and somebody comes up and says, hey, don't worry about it, it's going to be fine. Right? That's good for people. For a dog, if he's really, really, really nervous about something, if you go over there and you pet him and pet him and pet him, you can actually increase that state. That's something that you don't want to do. So again, the first thing to ask yourself is, what type of person am I? What type of dog do I have? Now, the next thing to understand is that there are different types of trainers, okay? There are different types of situations for training. So, learning open. So if we look at this, here's our foundation. Obedience trainer or behaviorist, right? Do you guys know the difference? Everybody here know the difference, right? So, an obedience trainer basically teaches repetitious action, right? Sit, down, stay, come, heel, fetch, whatever it is. You're taking the dog and you're asking it to do something based on repetition, giving it something or not giving it something in order to learn that trick. A behaviorist actually looks at behavior. So what we see here is, teach me shake. We're going to play fetch. I missed one, huh? Come on, huh? Is that one there? I don't know why I put that one in there. I just put that one in there because I thought it was cute, right? It's like Lady and the Tramp with spaghetti, right? Now, over here, we see obedient with a T. So here we have obedience, learning some tricks, learning how to do things. Over here, we have obedient with a T, right? Fear, aggression, right? Dog aggression. So this might be any type of negative behavior that has to do with socialization. This has to do with dog-to-dog aggression. Again, here's a dog that's experiencing some fear. So, what is the difference between obedience and obedient, right? And I basically look at it like this. My daughter is 8 years old. She's learning math. She's learning English, right? She's learning some skills. Those skills are not going to stop her from going out with her friends and doing something when she's 14. Right? Math, English, they don't do anything for who she is underneath those skills. We have to remember that dogs are highly skilled, highly adaptable creatures. That's what we did. We created them to do something, then we removed their job. Right? We said, we need you to drive sheep 100 miles. We need you to take these sleds through the snow. We need you to rescue people. We need you to do X, Y, Z. Okay? And then we took those jobs away because we industrialized. Right? So now we have these specialized dogs that are supposed to be doing specialized things, and they're in the backyard. And they're beginning to develop some of these negative behaviors. So again, the first thing to understand is obedient, right? I don't care if my dog can sit down or stay. That's not, some people love that. If there are competition people here, fantastic. I love that too, as a form of mental stimulation. But for me, I don't need my dog to do those things. I need to make sure that my dog is obedient, right? I need to make sure my dog's not afraid of people, places, or things. He's not aggressive, and he gets along with other dogs. Right? That's the primary thing that I'm looking at. Now, again, all of the tricks is fantastic, and we'll get into that in terms of mental stimulation. It's fantastic. I recommend to everybody, go out, get into agility, do all of those different, get nose work, all those things. They're fantastic, okay? But foundationally, your dog needs to be ready to do that. So again, we talked about state. When you bring your dog into your home, if he's nervous or anxious or fearful or dominant, you need to address that before teaching him tricks, right? So we need to get them through relaxation into assimilation, and then finally into learning new skills. Sit down, stay, come, heel. But again, I would ask you, a dog that has no issues, that walks with you wherever you go, that sits when you stop walking, that sees other dogs and other people, do they really need to sit on command or to stop or to stay or to come or to do any of those things? In most cases, not, right? So obedience, again, is fantastic, but the first thing we want to do is we want to foundationally make sure that our dog is okay with new people, new places, and new things, right? Okay, so we've matched ourselves with the right type of dog. I'm a neutral person. I'm a dominant person. Okay, so when I go and I get a dog, I want to find that type of dog. And then I want to build my foundation with my dog being solid in most situations. I can then come back around and start. But again, in society today, we take our dog to Petco, right? And they show our dog how to sit, but he's trying to kill the dog next to him, or trying to kill the person next to him, right? Then they kick you out of there, and you think that you're a failure, and then you go home and you go, oh my God, this dog, I don't know what the heck's going on with this guy, right? So, but that's generally not the case. So again, if you start with states of relaxation, then you move into this is your position in our group, and then once you've done that and he looks to you for direction, you introduce him to new skills, you will have a fantastic dog. Very difficult to not have a good dog at that point, okay? So again, we're just sort of progressing on this path to go out and try to do this. Now this information, and you can't, want to see it afterwards. It's really clear on this screen. That's okay. That's okay. It says oopsum lorem, oopsum lorem, oopsum lorem, oopsum lorem. No, there's actually this information came basically by me looking at all of the different types of issues that I was dealing with as I was trying to rehabilitate some of these rescue and shelter dogs. And what I did was I started trying to compile across the board what was going on with each of the different types of dogs. So some of them were fearful, some were aggressive, some were anxious, some were aggressive with dogs, aggressive with people, some had separation anxiety, some were being destructive, some were violent, some had hyperactivity. And what I started to find was, as I went out there and pulled all the information together, and I looked at everybody. So anybody that wants to come and talk about dog behavior, I'd be happy to do that. But I pulled from all of the experts, Patricia McConnell, Ian Dunbar, Stephen Applebaum, even things like Cesar Millan in some instances, all of them were broadcasting out a message basically to everybody. So when you went and you got a book from one of these people, they were basically broadcasting to you a message for all dogs. They were saying basically, here's what happens, and this is what you can do about that. So again, it was broadcast to an audience of people with fearful, aggressive, anxious, separation anxiety, destructive, dominant, submissive, all different types of dogs. They were broadcasting that to everybody. And when you went on YouTube, same thing, broadcasting that to everybody. Okay? And when you talk to your neighbor who's an AAT, okay, that's also a trainer, by the way. So when you talk to your neighbor who's also a trainer, they're going to tell you some different information, right? So what I started doing was I started writing down each dog, and I would go about each one of these particular methods of training. So we did everything from Michael Ellis's stuff, again, Ian Dunbar, Patricia McConnell, Sophia Lee, and began putting down what was working and what wasn't. And what ended up coming out was that there were some things, and you can't read them, but there were some things, categories that kept coming up that were working for each type of dog. Not the technique, not what I'm doing, but what's behind what I'm doing and when I'm doing it kept coming up across the board. Okay, so we had something called hierarchy, socialization, and then exercise. these three factors were basically the key ingredients to getting dogs to balance themselves out. Okay? And then at the bottom here is some touch therapy, which is what we're incorporating as well. So particularly with fearful dogs, touch therapy was incredibly effective. Dogs hold most of the fear energy in their back legs because of the flight mechanism. So things like intelligent touch and massage and even core exercise, these types of things all are very effective for that type of dog. Right? But as you can see, a fearful dog and an aggressive person-aggressive dog, you would handle them differently. So the same book would be telling you to handle them the same. And what's important to understand is that we have to know the differences. Right? Who am I? What type of dog did I get? And what do I have to do next? Okay. So again, when we broke these things down, what ended up happening was we found out that there was an extremely small component called neurological or physiological condition. And that means that the dog has something genetically wrong with it or physically wrong with it. They could have a brain tumor, right? They might have, again, extremely poor genetics, fighting dogs, or the wrong mix of breeds, sort of moving toward sort of a temperament misalignment. Okay? But this is a very small percentage. So for all of you out there right now, they're going, that's my dog's problem. He's got a brain tumor, right? No. It's a very small percentage. It's about 2%, maybe a little bit higher. The largest component here at 95% is hierarchical conditioning. So that's spelled wrong. Don't pay attention to this part. So that should be ideal. So hierarchical conditioning basically means the dog is making his own decisions. Okay? So that is, the dog is a decision maker, the dog bites family members, the dog has resource issues, or he won't listen to you. These are all indicators that the dog does not see you as the one making decisions for the group. Not the pack leader, if you're not seizing a lot of people, not the alpha dog, not this, not that. Just the decision maker. Okay? Somebody's got to make decisions for you and for your dog. So if the terminology throws you off, decision maker, right? So that's about 95%. The reason it's 95% is because if the dog wasn't doing something wrong, he wouldn't be making a decision, right? So 5% of what he's doing, sleeping, playing, doing the stuff you like, right? But 95% of the time when people come to address behavior, it has to do with the dog making decisions. The dog sees somebody, thinks they're dangerous, so he lunges at them. The dog sees somebody approach and becomes fearful. Okay? The next two components, again, comprise about 2.2% each, okay, which is social conditions. And that's the dog's ability to adapt to people, places, and things. New people, new places, new things. Okay? And then the last one is exercise. And exercise is not really a problem. Exercise is what is called a force multiplier. Okay? So, and all that means is, if your dog builds up energy, you're going to have problems in these two areas. Okay? So it's a force multiplier, but it's extremely important, and we're going to kind of cover that. But as you look here, you see neurological, physiological. They have erratic behavior, compulsive issues, a lot of licking, strange stuff, some type of disease or poor genetics. Social issues. My dog is not friendly, whether it's toward people or other dogs. My dog has no manners, likes to jump on people, do different types of things. My dog is nervous in the outside world. He's okay inside, but he's nervous outside. And he's frightened by new things. I once, this is not a joke, worked with a lady that her dog, and this was probably maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Her dog was afraid of phone booths. Not booths. Exactly. That was the weird thing, is that she lived in the middle of the city and there was a phone booth on her way there. And she was adamant that the dog knew that the FBI was listening in on the call. Now, this was a few years ago. This is a lady who was ahead of her time. Okay? It's a lady who was ahead of her time with the whole NSA scandal. Maybe she was right. But the idea was this dog saw a phone booth, and because the lady had some issues with phone booths, developed a phobia towards that dog. right? So again, if I introduce my dog to the blue trash can for recycling, he doesn't know it's not going to eat him, right? He doesn't know. Oftentimes, it's kind of funny, you go outside, you've gone outside for a week now, okay? You moved into a new place, you go outside, you go to work, you come back home. The next day you go outside, go to work, come back home. And then a week later, you go outside and there's a shiny silver silo that's 20 feet tall in your front yard, all the way down the block, right? What would you think that silo was? You might become frightened by it, right? But again, that is the same thing that dogs go through when they're introduced to new things. So I might bring in my dog, and it's been 2 weeks. Now I go outside, and there's blue trash cans lined up all the way down the row. I take my dog out there, and he's, what the heck is that? Is it going to jump out? Is it going to bite me? What's going to go on? So it's important for us to understand that even if our dog develops some type of social problem, the main thing that we can do is to push the dog through that problem. Right? Not to say, oh, he doesn't like laminated floors, or he doesn't like this, or he doesn't like new people, or he doesn't, whatever it is. Now, if our dog does not have a disease, if our dog is looking to us for direction, if our dog is okay with people, places, and things, and at the end of the day, we've exercised our dog, it is impossible to have a bad dog. Okay? So again, he doesn't have anything wrong with him physically. He looks to us for information. We go places with him, and at the end of the day, he's not building up any energy. Very, very, very difficult to have a bad dog. But if our dog does not look to us for information, and he lunges at people, or he doesn't like other dogs, if when we get him out into a social environment, we cannot control him, and I don't want to be that person, right? I don't want to be that person that can't control his own dog. Okay, so I'm not going to take him with me. So where am I going to put him? In the backyard. And if I put him in the backyard, what's he going to do? He's going to build up energy, right? So now he's going to become people and dog aggressive, right? He's probably going to decide, hey, I'm not part of your group because I'm separated from you most of the time. So if you come and try to take my bowl, I'm going to have resource issues towards you, right? And he's not going to be very social. People can't come over to the house. People can't come to visit. I can't go on vacation because nobody can watch my crazy dog. Right? And then he's going to become destructive. He's going to bark all the time. And he's going to give you all kinds of different problems. Okay? So again, all behavior, as we looked at this chart back here, this chart was developed based on all of these things. All of these different types of issues. And again, used correctly, if you understand how to use it, it's a roadmap to get yourself out of these things. Right. So once again, it's important to understand if I started off right, if I know who I am, if I know what type of dog is right for me, if I go out and get the information I need, if the dog is not perfect for me, to correct that particular type of thing. And then if I satisfy my dog, right? If I make sure that he's doing all of these things, then I should be okay. But this seminar is not about a perfect world, right? So let's take a look at what happens in a not perfect world. So the first thing we're going to look at is hierarchy. Okay, I'm just going to explain it fairly quickly. Hierarchy is who makes the decisions for the group. See, look, I'm free. Okay, who makes the decisions for the group? So, first impressions, introductions, and then protection and correction. First impressions, the way you meet a dog is the way you're going to carry your relationship forward with that dog. Don't trust me, just understand that if I'm submissive with a dog, that dog is going to consider me to be submissive. If I'm neutral with that dog, I have a good chance of leading that dog. And if I'm dominant with that dog and he's not fearful, then I should be the one who's in control. But that doesn't always happen. So, again, let's talk about first impressions. When you go to the shelter and you meet a dog, there are a couple of different ways to do that. I can get down low like this and go, hi, guy. Real high voice, right? My body is low, right? I may be bending over, so my butt is up in the air, right? My hands are out, which is play to a dog. So I'm actually interacting with this dog. My first impression would be a playful, submissive type of person. The dog, again, he's not discriminatory. He doesn't know your hands, right? He just looks at your body language and says, oh, another low-ranking fun guy. All right, that's it. Let's play. Let's do this, right? The second thing is what is called a neutral approach. Neutral approach is that, again, I basically don't interact with the dog. Okay, I let the dog sort of wander toward me. I let him smell me. I don't move toward him. I don't move away from him. I allow him to go into a state of relaxation, and then I can encourage him to come from, again, a relaxed posture. And I can ask the dog to do something, maybe sit. And when he sits, I can then interact with him. That sets me up as somebody who's not threatening him, but also not somebody who's below him. Okay, and that's where we come to protection and correction. Okay, so first impression is I'm either going to be submissive, I'm going to be neutral, or maybe I'm going to enter into your space without you knowing me, and I'm going to put my hand right on your face. Right? I'm going to look through your purse. Okay, I'm going to smell your underarm. Okay, whoa, hey. All right. Okay, so first impression is my energy. The way I introduce myself to the dog then sets up who I am to that dog in our relationship. And then we go into protection and correction. Dogs bite for count of two reasons: protection and correction. Okay? Protection. You are threatening me, my home, my pet, my family, whatever it is. So I must drive you away. Correction. You, based on first impression, are below me, and my mother taught me to correct by biting. Right? So biting is something that happens when dogs see you as being below them, and they're just trying to tell you, don't pick up that toy, don't take away my food, don't try to take me off the couch, don't take me off that bed, whatever it is. Okay? An owner getting bit by a dog is generally correction, not protection. Okay? So understanding that point can then put you on the way to hierarchical conditioning, right? Or hierarchical reconditioning. So, hopefully everybody's clear with that. Dogs bite because they feel threatened by you, or because they are trying to tell you you shouldn't be doing this or that. Okay? Now, in the case that you do have a dog that is out of hierarchical alignment, meaning he's making some decisions that you don't want him to make, I don't know, biting you, right? Attacking other dogs, not letting you come into your house, not letting you go anywhere. Okay? If you do have this problem, there's something called benevolent dictatorship, which means I am going to be the one who makes the decisions, all of the decisions. Your dog does not know about leash laws or city ordinances. He doesn't know that if he runs outside, he's going to get picked up. He's going to get taken to the pound. Right? Your dog should be making no decisions. None. Right? Other than come when you call them, and that's not really a decision. But benevolent simply means that I'm not going to enforce my will upon you. I'm not going to sit here and grab you and try to control you through force. I'm actually going to do it through power. I'm going to work with who you are. So there's a lady named Jan Fennell, and she developed a system called the Amici bonding. The Amici bonding is very simple. She looked at wolves, coyotes, and dingoes, and also some wild dogs in the animal valley. And she looked, and they're here tonight. There's one of them here. He's like, she did what? All right. And what she did was she found that all of these species of canids did the same thing. So those of you who are the dogs are not wolf people, there is information that is showing that if you take domesticated dogs and you put them together, they start to act just like wolves. Right? So there is some information that's showing it. But what she found was that if looking at these different packs of wolves, coyotes, and dingoes, that in order to establish position, they did 4 things. And those 4 things she called reuniting, threat, and danger, migration, and the distribution of food resources. Okay? So, what she did was she saw that wolves and coyotes and dingoes competed with each other within a very close pack structure ranking. So what that means is that you have dogs that are number 10, he's the pack leader. You have a dog that's number 8, he's the beta female. You have a dog that's number 5, which is the middle of the pack dog. You have a dog that's number 3, and then you have the lowest ranking dog, which is number 1. Those dogs have a structure. The guy on top, he's like Tom Brady or Michael Jordan or whatever. He makes the decisions, right? The guy on the bottom is so glad that guy makes the decisions, right? That is how all of your dogs are. They don't want to make those decisions. They cause stress. Stress causes problems, right? So, what they found was that if we take that 10, 7, 5, 3, and 1, and we just did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that 5 never competed with anybody. So the pack leader never had any competition until he was too sick or too old. But that 4 always competed with 3. And that 3 always competed with 2 and 4. And so on and so forth. So what they found was that dogs that were competing with one another were very close to one another in their pack structure. Okay? So if you kind of understand that, you will see that dogs are always trying to figure out, how can I one-up you? If we're close, how can I one-up you? How can I compete? Right? And so again, what she did was she came up with this system, reuniting, threat of danger, migration, and the distribution of resources. Reuniting. When dogs go away to hunt, the old, the sick, and the infirm, basically they stay behind, right? When the dogs return from hunting, they don't rush up to the pack leader, right, and find information from the lead dog. Nobody can enter into that dog's area. What they do is they circle around to the lowest ranking dog, that number 1 dog that we talked about. Fun uncle, right? Hey, fun uncle, where did you guys go? Where'd you go? Right? We don't go up to Simba, the leader of the lion tribe or whatever. We go to the lowest ranking guy to get information. So when we come home and we open the door and our dog comes running up to us and he smells us and we talk to him, we pet him, and we do things for him, we're basically saying at reuniting, we're the lowest ranking dog in the group. Right? So all we have to do is when we come home and the dog comes up to us, we can ask him to do something. Come with me, come on. We walk into the kitchen, we put our stuff down, we drink some water, cook for the kiddies. We turn around, we say, hey, boy, sit. The dog sits, and then we give. So again, in one case we came home, he asked, we gave. In the next case, we came home, we asked, and then we gave. Very subtle, but that's what instinct is. Instinct is not complicated. It burned, I moved away from it. Right? Threat of danger, totally fine if your dog barks at people, right? As long as he stops when you say stop. Right? Totally fine if I'm in the shower or if I'm in the backyard, somebody's jumping over my fence or at my front door, UPS guy's there. Fantastic, bark, wonderful. But when I get there, stop. I make the decisions, right? That's just the UPS guy. That's just my friend from work. That's just the working man, right? The dog is laying there. He's like, oh, rolling around, like, oh, life is so great, I love my, and then somebody comes through the door, right? He didn't get the text message, he didn't get the email, he didn't get the phone call, right? Soon, it's coming, there's going to be a little mobile app for dogs. But all of a sudden, everything's great in my world, and then somebody comes barging in through the front door the dog doesn't know, or comes around through the back, or whatever it is, okay? So, threat of danger, totally fine if my dog barks, but he has to stop when I arrive on the scene. I want him to alert me, but he needs to be able to not do it in a way where he's just losing his mind and won't stop. Migration is walking. A lot of people are not going to like this, but if you walk behind your dog, what do you think that makes you? Anybody know? A follower. A follower, right? Position dictates who you are. So if I stand here and my dog is up there, I'm a follower, right? If I'm here and my dog is back there, I'm the leader. Okay? Doesn't mean that you have to choke your dog and do all these other types of things, because you don't. You simply have to get your dog's attention, which is what we were talking about anyway before. Your dog shouldn't be making decisions. Oh, but he wants to smell, right? He can smell. There's plenty of places for him to smell, but he should be looking to you for direction. Are we walking? Are we stopping? Can I go and smell? Can I go do this? Can I go do that? A lot of people may disagree with that. They're the ones with the torn labrums and all those types of things. Like, no, you don't understand. No, you don't understand, right? If this dog is pulling you around the neighborhood and you cannot control him, okay, you might have a problem, right? All right. Last thing is the distribution of food and resources. He who controls the resources controls the group, right? When I was a kid, and this is going to date me a little bit, but I watched Mutual Omaha, Wild Kingdom, and there was a wolf there, and that wolf was eating, and another wolf tried to come up and get some of that food, and he turned around, and he gave him the what for, and that wolf just went, okay, I'll wait. All right, that's fine. There'll be plenty, right? Okay. So, your dog either sees that this is a world with so many slices of the pie, and I need my piece, or he sees it as the pie belongs to you, and you will give him what it is that you want. Right? Again, this is not me. I'm not telling you this. Your dog is telling you this. Right? If your dog becomes resource aggressive, you have a problem. Okay? He's telling you, this is mine. And I will fight for it. Okay? Now, again, obviously, going through this process, very easy to fix these things. Right? Tell your dog what to do and ask him for some things. Let him know that you're the one who's going to make those decisions. Make sure that he's following behind you in a relaxed fashion when you go for walks. Make sure that he does something like go into a state of relaxation for his food so that you can take that food away. And you can get your hierarchical position back. Okay? We only have to get it back because we lose it at the beginning. Right? That first 72 hours, that first 14 days, when we bring the dog home, and we go, oh, you know. What we have to understand, what's really important to get here is when a puppy is growing up, right, through those first formidable weeks, the mother, she watches them like a hawk. She sees them, she sees what they're doing. Because if they go into the tall grass and they fall over a cliff, or they go and they get eaten by a predator, she's got 8, 9 of them. So some of you mothers out there, you know what we're talking about, and you might have 2 or 3 at the most, right? She's got 8 or 10. So she can't just allow these puppies to wander all over the place. So as soon as they're upwardly mobile and they begin moving around, she's got to let them know this is the safe area. And the way that she does that is by stopping them. She goes, she stops their progress, she shakes them, she brings them back, she puts them down. And if they continue doing that, she increases that intensity until they stop. Right? So she watches them like a hawk all the way up until you pick them up. Okay? Then the inmates run the asylum, right? Oh, but he's so cute. Look at him. Oh, he's jumping on me. Yeah, he's 7 pounds, right? But when he's 70 pounds, not funny, right? So he's watch. So he knows if I do something, my mom is going to get me, or my other packmates are going to get me, and they're going to let me know that I'm doing something wrong. So I know. So the world makes sense. So I don't have to make very many decisions. Everything is good. I know my place in my group. This is wonderful. And then he goes into your home, and you don't make any decisions for him. And do you know what that means? That means, okay, that your dog, right, is thinking that whatever he's doing, you. The mother lets them do whatever it is that they're going to do, if it's okay. So if the dog goes under the mulberry bush, if he plays with the other dogs, if he lays in the sun, nothing happens. There's no repercussion. There's no learning that goes on. So the dog learns that if I do something wrong, my mother will correct me. So again, when they come into our home and they bark and they do this and they do that and we do nothing, what we're telling them is, yep, I approve. Right? That I approve of this, but what you're doing. It's actually the right thing to do. Go ahead and keep doing it. And then when they get to be 70, 80, 90 pounds and they don't let anybody in your house and you can't really control them, then it sort of becomes a little bit more of a problem. So again, if we can understand that benevolent dictatorship, she doesn't do that to those puppies because she's trying to dominate them. She doesn't do it because she's being mean to them. She does it because it's the best thing for them. And we need to learn to do the same. Our job is to do the best thing for our dogs so that they can be healthy and happy. The next issue here is social condition. The world is a safe place with structure in it, right? So, social conditions, right, what we talked about before, are broken into a few different parts. Fear imprinting, and then manners, and then finally new people, places, and things. Fear imprinting, when a dog goes through a fear imprint, 8 to 12 weeks, and then again after 6 months, what ends up happening is, for whatever reason, something happens, and it burns itself into the brain of the dog. And that's what we call a fear imprint. So our puppy is kind of wandering around and everything's going great, and then I turn on the vacuum cleaner, right? Or I blow dry my hair, right? I don't own a blow once say, everything in context. This is a lot of hair in a bowl of soup. So if we again take a look at this fear imprinting, what we can understand is something happened to the dog and it burned itself into the dog. Now, the difference here again is that at 8 to 12 weeks, when this happens to a dog, the mother and the other pack members will push the dog through that. They don't pick him up and hold him and pet him and, oh, it's going to be all right, don't worry, damn vacuums, right? They don't do all those types of things. Basically, their job is to show him or her, that's a vacuum. There's nothing wrong with that. We need to be able to push through that, right? That is not dangerous. That's our job, right? So, between 8 and 12 weeks, the mother, again, and the other litter mates are able to push the dog through that. But if we get a dog at 8 weeks and they haven't gone through one, and then something happens and he has a phobia of floors, or a phobia of loud noises, or skateboards, or whatever it is, other dogs, whatever it is. So we have to understand that fear imprinting is a serious issue. It may not be something that we can just fix, like the manners part. So, fear imprinting is the first part of socialization. The second part of socialization is the manners part. And this goes back to when we brought him in and he jumped on us and he was humping our leg and all that kind of stuff. We sort of allowed that to happen, and now it's a problem, right? For some people, right? For others, not so much, right? People, hey, if you can deal with your dog's problems, more power to you, right? They're not problems at that point. So, that is considered manners, how a dog interacts with other people. 4 on the floor is always the best. So again, if I'm causing any resentments right now, I apologize in advance, but not everybody wants your dog to jump on them, or to get mud on them, or to jump on the car. Now, my dog does that every once in a while. He'll get excited and he does whatever. But in most instances, it's something that we've trained him out of, right? We know you're excited, but you have to sit in order to do that. And that has a lot more to deal with other people than it does with your dog. Your dog will learn it really quickly. Other people will come in and be, hey, guy, right? And they'll get right down there, and then the dog wants to jump up, and the next thing you know, you're working from the back end. Okay? And then the third thing is new people, places, and things. How often do you get your dog out into the public, introduce him to new things, and push him through those things? This is a beautiful opportunity. We all have it, right? Okay. So again, if my dog made it through puppyhood, fairly good. If when he got into my house, I taught him what was right and wrong, and I was constantly taking him out into the world, showing him that people, places, and things were fun. There were treats out there, and wonderful smells and different types of stuff that he did, what we asked him. Again, the world is a safe place, but once again, structure. It's structure. Right? I will tell you what you should and shouldn't do. So again, if you do have some issues in that section, if you find that when you take your dog out, your dog is not just walking totally normally, okay? There are 2 ways that dogs walk, and I would challenge all of you here, the next time that you go out, to watch people walking their dogs. Don't watch yourself, okay? Don't watch yourself. But watch other people walking their dogs. The people who are behind their dogs with their dogs in front of them generally have dogs that are anxious, tense, walking around, mouth closed, looking all over the place. The people with dogs behind them generally have calm, relaxed dogs that are smelling and exploring their environment. So they're learning new things, they're taking information in, they're exploring. They're not in a state of heavy anticipation. Where's the next threat coming from? Okay? Just, again, that's not me. Watch. Go out and watch. Right? If the dog is the one that's selling it to you, take it as gospel, right? What I say, go out, watch. Now, if our dog has poor social skills, the best thing that we can do for the dog is, again, what the mother or the other pack mates did to the dog to push him through a fear imprint. So basically, the mother restrains the dog, doesn't let him move away from it. She doesn't make excuses for it. She doesn't say why it's okay to have phobia, right? Then she redirects him by shaking him, okay? And she returns him to a spot where she can see him go back to do it again. And if he does it again, she'll repeat the process. If he doesn't do it again, she'll release him from that process. And we are in the middle here. We might offer a reward if we're doing any type of classical conditioning as a way to train this out of a dog. So food always works best in trying to get them to understand what we're trying to do. Right? So again, restrain, redirect, return, repeat if the dog continues to do it, release the dog if the dog doesn't do it, and reward the dog as a way to anchor. That is a behavior that I want from you. Okay? So, again, let's say we're walking down the street. Our dog is in front of us. There's another dog walking down the street. The two dogs are lunging and barking at one another. The first thing I have to do is restrain my dog. Okay? Now, this may seem simple, but there are people that will walk their dogs off leash. Okay? And those dogs will then run up to other dogs. It is great that your dog is a good dog. It is great that you have that type of control and that you know your dog is not going to attack the other dogs. But not every dog has that ability. So I always say, restrain your dog. Have the ability to say, no, 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 that dog may not want you to go smell. He may not want you to play with him. So restraint is, my dog is trying to run away from the phone booth. Right? So I don't want to let him get away. So I need to say, no, 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 we're not, no, no, no. I'm going to hold him and wait until he goes into a state of relaxation. Then I want to redirect him. Come on, over here. Right? Get him to look at me and away from that thing that's frightening him. Then I need to return him to that thing. I'm not talking about drag him up to it where he's like, you know. I'm saying you keep moving forward while he's in those states of relaxation. And then when he doesn't have a problem, you release him. Okay? Very careful about rewarding fearful dogs because, again, you can be rewarding the state as opposed to the activity that he's doing. So, in most cases, the release is really, really, really good. This works for the door. The mailman is at the door. Okay, restrain your dog, redirect him, return him to the door, release him when he doesn't do what it is that you don't want him to do. Okay? Works with dogs that are aggressive with one another, works with dogs that are aggressive toward people. There are some caveats in here that you know, if you do have some questions and you have a dog, I'd be happy to talk about things, but by and large, the 4 R's, restrain, redirect, return, release, and reward, or repeat the behavior, are used for modifying any behavior. Right? It's a wonderful, wonderful tool if used appropriately. Always understanding that this restraint is waiting until your dog goes into a state of relaxation. In a state of relaxation, you can teach anything. In a state of anticipation, it's hard to teach anything. Right? So again, if you have a dog with poor social skills, don't make a big scene about it. Don't crank on the dog or whatever. But hold the dog until he stops doing what it is that he's doing. Don't continue moving. Redirect the dog, get his attention to you. Return the dog to that thing, and then basically release him. Okay? So it's a good way of working through any type of social skill when you take it out into the public world. Last thing here is exercise. Okay? Now exercise, again, is called a force multiplier because what it means is that as a dog builds up energy, they tend to have these negative behaviors come out. Okay? So dogs, just like us, have a daily battery. They wake up in the morning and they've got a tremendous amount of energy to use throughout the day. If that energy is not used, they build that battery up, and that turns into stress. Right? That stress then comes out in some form or another of crazy energy. It could be the 6 o'clock crazies that everybody talks about. Yeah, at 6 o'clock every night, my dog will run around in a circle and jump on the couch and then they run out or whatever. It could be them landscaping your yard, right? We were going to get grass, but, it could be, again, your dog going outside and barking at a tree incessantly or barking outside incessantly and not stopping barking at 3 o'clock in the morning. It could be a number of different things, but generally, again, exercise is a huge contributor to this. So, how do we try to train our dog of this energy that we're talking about here? So we're looking at primal domesticated routines. So again, we want to look at what does a dog do, what was a dog designed to do, and what are we doing in domestication? Okay? So we came up with 3 things. Mechanical stimulation, that's just caloric, you're just exercising your body, not really your mind. Combination stimulation, okay, you're using your mind and your body in conjunction with something else or someone else. And then mental stimulation, and that's primarily using your mind. So these 3 forms of exercise are what a dog does on a daily basis. If you want to drain a dog properly of this energy, it's a good idea for you to attack. So, that model, again, is developed. If you take a look, you have mechanical up here. Okay? You have combination here. You have social interaction here. And then you have mental stimulation here. So this pattern is developed through the cycle, the day in the life of the dog, which is actually coming from a wolf, what a wolf would kind of do. So the first thing they do is track, then they hunt and scavenge, then they socialize, and then they explore. So a dog's primary motivation, does anybody know what a dog's primary motivation is? Food, right? There are no, In-N-Out doggy burger places, right? So the first thing they have to do as soon as they wake up is travel for that food. Now I want you to notice this formation. Very tight, very structured. Sort of like the Blue Angels, they're in a little bit of a formation here. They stay together. If you ever watch wolves running in the Arctic, they have a V formation that they basically run in. So this is called a hunting formation. Right? So again, and I'll explain to you why that's important in a few minutes. So this is the first thing. Now I sort of look at this like when I was in junior high school in 1954. We had jogging at that time. I don't know if they still do that now. Now it's like play 60 or something like that. We played for like 12 hours straight. But we would jog around this track. And when we jogged around the track, I was 14 or 15 years old. I was not thinking about my bills. I wasn't thinking, did I leave the stove on? I wasn't thinking any of that kind of stuff. It was really just running with a group of people, feeling my breath and just moving in this zone with these other people. That's what mechanical stimulation is. Combination stimulation, you see now that they all have to understand where they are, this guy in particular, because these guys are driving the prey directly into this guy. So they have to use their brain, they have to use their body, and they have to work together. That's why we call it combination exercise. Now, once they've done that, then they eat. Then they have a period of social interaction. This is the only time undomesticated animals that are related to the canid actually have social activity. It's very fun, very funny. Because again, it's a very short period during the day where they interact and play with one another. And it's over. Most of it is spent like this, not like this. Yeah. So again, dog park for 4 hours, whatever it is, great, okay, wonderful, not necessary, but good if that's what you do. So again, they have a brief social interaction after they've hunted and ate. Some will sleep, some will play, some will do this. And then the last thing is as they return home, as they return to the den, they explore their environment. So you see here, this guy's smelling the ground, these guys are a little bit farther away, the pack leader is sort of looking out for the whole group. It's when they can actually go out and they can learn about the world around them. They can smell the acorn, they can look at the gopher, they can do all those types of things. So this is an important time where they learn about their environment. If we keep them in the backyard where they cannot learn about their environment, the environment quickly becomes the same, right? Only the seasons change. It takes a long time. Okay? So again, you look at tracking. In the morning when we walk our dogs, or the first time we walk our dogs, we should probably walk in a nice, controlled fashion. The dog's not going to pull me. He's not going to go and smell everywhere. He's not going to do all this stuff. He's going to follow behind me like we're going towards him. When we get back, I'm going to ask him to do some things. It's this hunt and scavenge portion. So as we begin coming back from our walk, I'm going to ask him to do some things. So I'm going to stop and, hey boy, sit. He's going to sit. Then we're going to run over and I'm going to let him smell some things, right? At that point, we're going to finish our hunt and scavenge. Okay? Does anybody know where's a good time to feed our dog during the day? Anybody? Raise your hand. 11, yes. If we hunt every morning at 10, 11 is the appropriate time. Absolutely. 11 is actually a really good answer for us in domestication. Okay? But the idea here that we were looking at is we take our dog for a very structured walk. We ask him to do some things with us while we're out on that walk, and we don't feed him until we come home from that walk. Right? 11. Okay, then we should let him play or do some things. Okay, and then at the end of the night, right before dusk, we should teach him some things. We should mentally stimulate him. Okay. So again, some forms of exercise, treadmilling is really great for dogs. They can all do it. Every dog that we work with gets on the treadmill. Some don't make it. Some do. Most do really quickly. Some are too long. Some are too fearful. Fetch, things like that. But the key here is getting their heart up to a certain rate and keeping it there. So if you're a speed walker, fantastic. That's a good way to sort of keep that movement. But if it's just a regular walk and you walk behind and you're on your phone or you're looking at your tablet or whatever it is, not a good idea. It's not fast enough. Okay. Combination again is as I've finished about half of my walk or 3/4 of my walk, now I want to start working with my dog. Now I want this experience to be something. I want to come home with him having smelled something new, saw something new, done something for them, right? I want him to work in combination, not only with his mind and his body, but also with me, right? Or that would be him, right? I'm not the person. Yes, I'm not the person. Yeah, the one falling off the stage right now. Okay. And then I would have some social interaction with my dog, right? And then at nighttime, again, I would always want to make sure that he was learning something. And it could be something simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to be, there's a million videos on YouTube. 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, whatever it is, videos on YouTube. Teach your dog to go get you a beer. Teach your dog, whatever it is, right? Smell cancer. People will love you with that. That's a wonderful, or maybe they wouldn't, right? Like, hey, I think you have cancer. Maybe it's a bad thing. But if you go through this process, in the morning we're going to wake up, we're going to go for a walk. At the end of our walk, we're going to work together to do something, to learn something new. In the middle of the day, we're actually going to socialize. I'm going to teach you what you should and shouldn't do, right? And then at the end of the night, I'm going to do some very limited things with you. Maybe just teach you sit or play hide and seek with you or do something where you have to be memory stimulated, give them a call, do something where they've got a problem solved, where they have to learn about their world. This balances out and drains that battery, right? So again, it's extremely, extremely important that we take the force multiplier away. Because if we're going to try to take care of what's wrong with our dog in terms of hierarchy, it's going to be hard if he's crazy, right? It's going to be hard if he's all over it. No, hang on. I'm telling you what to do, and he's just jumping all over the place, right? If he has problems with dogs, it's going to be hard if he's not paying attention to us. And again, he's building up all kinds of energy. So everything that we do is going to be hard if our dog is not relaxed, right? All right, so connecting the dots, okay? Understanding that education basically is vital, right? Education, understanding what's happening with dogs. Why are they doing what they're doing? Why can't I control this? Why is this dog doing that? There are all kinds of variables, but again, all of these variables are solvable. You simply have to bracket them out into the areas in which your dog is having a problem. Now, it doesn't matter what you were to tell me. Some people may say, Pete, tell me, I have a dog that's doing this. Oh, well, it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. No, I think he just has a brain tumor, right? Okay? Right? No. You missed the main part of it. It's not the brain tumor. Okay? In most instances, again, every single problem can be avoided in most instances. But again, if we go all the way to the beginning of this, if we matched ourselves up with who we were, with the type of dog we were going to get, if we understood how to build a foundation with him to be confident, to be comfortable, and then if we went through a daily routine of doing these types of things, I tell you what to do. I'm not the giver. I'm the one who asks for something. I take you out into the world. And when you're nervous or anxious, I wait with you until you relax. Because that's the only way we're getting out of here. Dogs do things based on what preceded what happened. So if I'm walking with my dog and my dog lunges at another dog and those people cross the street and then I run home because I go, God, my dog is crazy, right? My dog is going to say, how did I get home? How was it that we got back to safety? Oh, that's right, I launched the dogs. Okay? So they're going to want to do that again. All right? So it's important for us to understand that anytime your dog is not okay with something, even though people aren't going to be okay with it, you're doing what's best for your dog by allowing your dog to go from that state of anxiety or anticipation into a state of relaxation before removing him from that situation. Right? Extremely important to understand. Okay? The last thing I want to talk about really quickly is we have this cycle, the snake that eats itself. Okay? And the snake that eats itself is this. We get a dog, we go out with our dog, everything's good for a couple of days. We don't really know the dog, we can shelter out the dog, we go out with him a couple of days. Then we come around a corner and he lunges at some other dog. Right? Then we go, oh my God, I got an aggressive dog. Right? I got an aggressive dog. Like the dog's dog aggressive. I don't know what to do. Okay? Now the dog can smell the pheromones in your sweat. You can hear your heartbeat. He's a keen observer of your body language. Okay? So, what ends up happening is, again, we've all seen sort of Friday the 13th or Halloween or any of those types of Jaws, right? So you see in the beginning of the movie, it's serene, the water, the fish, the beautifully swimming, right? And then you hear the music, right? Da-na, da-na, right? And the first thing that happens is your heart starts to beat faster, like something's going on, right? Something's going to happen here, okay? So now the dog can hear your heartbeat. The next thing is, as your heart beats, your internal cord heats up, so you start sweating. In that sweat is adrenaline and lactic acid. In that adrenaline and lactic acid, your dog can pick up fear. So now he can hear you breathe, he can hear your heartbeat, he can smell your fear. And then we grab them, right? So what happens when Jaws jumps up? We do this. Our shoulders get closer to our ears. Okay? So, again, my heart starts to beat, I start to sweat, and my body becomes tight. Now my dog says, you cannot be afraid of me, because I love you, right? So what is the unique identifier? The dog looks around, oh, you must not like dogs. You must not like people. You must not like this, this, or that, right? And so now we create this vicious cycle. Because now I think my dog's going to bite somebody and I'm going to be sued. And then when I get sued, I'm going to end up, blah, 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 blah. We're going all down that. Dogs cannot differentiate fear. Fear is fear. Doesn't matter what you're afraid of. It matters that you're afraid. Right? So the most important thing for us to understand is when those things happen, there's something called a 90-10 rule. Okay? 90-10 rule means that if your dog does good 90% of the time, don't focus only on the 10% where he had a problem. Focus on that 90%. Understand that there might be a problem that you have to correct, right? And then go out and get that information and make that correction. Okay? Okay, so basically that's the end of this particular presentation. I want to show there's something that we're going to be doing tonight. It's really cool. It ties into this presentation. It's a little historic, so I hope that you guys enjoy it. But I'm going to bring Julie Jones up really quickly here, and she's just going to talk for a second about RAIN, which is Rescue Animal Information Network.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. Pete, that last scenario where you're talking about your dog being fearful, that's my fear. Is going to be okay. Well, y'all. So anyway, so RAIN is something that we're just launching, and we thank y'all for coming tonight. And want you to know that this is kind of a historic moment because we're going to be launching this soon, and you're hearing about it first. Before we go out to social media and everything else. RAIN is the Rescue Animal Information Network. What it is a sister company to K9 101 Connection. And what we are going to be doing is going out and taking this K9 101 Connection program out to shelters to help shelter staff and shelter volunteers learn to understand this behavior, this canine behavior, which will eventually, of course, let them be able to assess the dog better, and then we hope to upload it to a centralized database, which we're going to be showing you this video of, and you'll understand how it all ties together a little bit more. As rescuers, I'm in rescue, a bunch of us here tonight are all in rescue. We try to learn as much about the dog so that we can pair them up with families and match them so that, of course, it's a forever home and the dog never has to go back to the shelter or through another state like that. But one of the things we hope to do also, and this will not only help the shelter people and the shelter volunteers, but it will help the general public be educated about how to understand dog behavior so that they can say, hey, I'm that dominant person that needs to have that dominant dog, or I'm that submissive person. So it's all about education. I think we all agree that and about that, and it'll just help us all do better, and it eventually just help us with more to save more dogs and cats. So we're going to Pete back up here. He's going to show us the video, and
Okay, so again, we're introducing a product. Basically, we talked about problem, solution, and course of action. So once again, anything in the world can be solved with those three principles. I need to know that there's a problem. I need to be able to find the information for a solution, and then I need to put that into, or I need to put that plan of action into place. So along with this system, again, we've created a website that is going to do some really incredible things. So again, I'm really excited because this is our official sort of launch. It's the site itself is not launched. We still need to make some things. So we're actually starting a campaign right now moving forward. But you'll sort of get the idea about this. So again, I hope you guys enjoy this and can see the potential for this. Here we go. Hi, I'm Pete Rodriguez. Welcome to the Pro Dog Revolution. Over the next few minutes, I would like to introduce you to a system that I designed that can revolutionize how we adopt, introduce, and create long-lasting results for dogs and families. Every year, people just like you are forced to surrender their dogs due to incompatibility or easily solved problems. It's lack of education. We've all tried to do the right thing and adopt from shelters and rescues, only to feel like we might have made a mistake. What if, through technology, we could provide access to simple yet powerful tools that owners can use to ensure retention and ultimately run a safe and happy household? Canine 101 Connection can do just that. New technology allows us to do this by allowing access to information that can revolutionize the way we communicate and understand our dogs. Just like every person is unique, so is every dog. Canine 101 Connection wants to shift how things are done by matching owners with dogs that are compatible for their lifestyle and bring professionalized training right into their home. The shift I'm talking about is simple. It's really about finding the perfect dog for you, then giving you the tools to start training him or her from day one to be happy, healthy, social, and worry-free. Our matching system looks at your experience, your lifestyle, energy level, and your unique compatibility to ensure the greatest potential match. Think of it as an eHarmony or a Match.com for dogs. We sift through literally thousands of potential dogs in your area to find and select the best match for you. We start you off right with a firm foundation that you can begin building on quickly and effectively with our training videos. And you won't be alone. Canine Connection will be there to guide you through the entire process. Using our website and mobile app, you'll have access to content that shows you how to introduce your dog to your home and then out into the world. And we can even do Skype consultations to tackle any unique situations. We want to give the right support and education to you so you have the confidence and the ability to guide your dog effectively. Your dog is going to fill a large part of your life. The only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is beneficial for making him or her great. The support of people like you can make a huge difference. Please consider making a donation to our Indiegogo fundraising campaign to help us jumpstart this program today. Together, we can make this vision of a pro-dog society less of a dream and more of a reality. Okay, so but again, this is really an incredible opportunity for all of us. So, I really, again, the seminar was about how we assess and what types of information we need. And we can go about giving this information out to people one by one, or we can actually get out there and we can mass produce this information. And we can get it into as many people's hands as possible. So I want to ask everybody that's here, if they can, to help us out with social media. I'll be providing links on our Facebook page. If you can then push those out so that we can get some crowdfunding. We've got the majority of the website is complete, but we still have things like the mobile application. We still have to be able to go in and do some of the back-end stuff, APIs and different things like that. But we really have an opportunity to, again, get people this information, match them up with the dog, get them the correct training that they need so that they don't fall out of alignment in any of those categories, and they understand the types of things that they're supposed to be doing. So we are also offering some other classes that, if people are in some other seminars and are interested in the breakdowns of each of these individual sort of conditions. So we've got a hierarchy seminar, we've got a socialization seminar, and we've got an exercise seminar that's very similar to this, but where we actually bring in animals and work through that process. So again, tonight was really about being able to present you guys with information. Again, it really is historic. This is a dream that I've had for a very long time, being able to launch something like this and to be able to help as many people as possible with this information. So again, thank you guys all so much for coming out tonight. I know some of you, it was a long drive, but again, UCLA will play USC again, and whatever it was that you did tonight, I'm sure you can probably do again tomorrow night. But if this does become a success, if this dream does become a reality, then I think to be able to say that you were there as part of that initial launch is kind of cool. It's cool for me anyway. So again, thank you guys so much. I would also like to point out, I appreciate people that have come here, some very important people to me, and some rescues I think that have done things really, really, really right in terms of making sure that when those dogs get out of the shelter that they get that training. Annie Hart is in the back there. She is from Rescue from the Heart. Tirelessly worked, and she's come out with me, and she's actually trained with me, and she's seen the types of things that we do, and she's jumped over fences and gone into aqueducts and saved dogs and done so many great things. Sheila Aragon also is here today. She's from Mudmatch, LA. Let's give her a hand. We were just talking earlier about putting these things together and how far things have come and all the things that we did. This was really just an idea, just a concept that a couple of crazy people were kind of tossing around. Maria Taki, are you here? Where are you, Marie? Are you here? Animal Rescue. One of the most beautiful Asian women that I know. Sorry, never mind. Great rescue organization. She came a long way. She has done a tremendous amount for dogs in terms of her work, both as a rescue and also on the council and doing different types of things. So. Again, everybody, if I left anybody out, Julie Jones from Labs and Friends, and now one of the most important things that we could do, we knew that when we developed this system that rescues would be able to give us all the information we needed on dogs, but we knew that shelters couldn't give us that information. So that's where RAIN comes in, Rescue Animal Information Network. It's the ability to go out there and teach simple rules of how to evaluate dogs and how they can be ranked so that we know exactly where they should fit in. So that's going to really play a key role in terms of getting this entire thing together. Shannon Long back there, I couldn't have done half of these things without her. Why don't you stand up? She's actually written a lot of stuff. She's the one that I bounce everything off of. She's the mother of my daughter, and she's done so many really, really cool things. I couldn't have, I literally, I'm not supposed to say this on tape, but I couldn't have done it without you. That's supposed to be a private. So, but really, I couldn't. She's fantastic. Joseph Hake, is my business partner, and he's the one who actually made what you see here into a reality. It was a concept that I had, and he's the person that I went to, and I said, I think we can do something here. I think we can save 1 million lives, and the idea is to save 1 million lives in 5 years. If we can match people with the right dogs, if we can reduce the amount of retention returns into the shelters and reduce the amount of euthanasias, that's a huge thing. And we can, over the course of 5 years, it begins to just exponentially expand, right? So again, Joe's the first guy that I went to, and he actually believed in the dream. So I appreciate that so much, because there's a lot of people out there that would say, "Hey, it's a good idea. It's a good idea." And then there's other people that actually say, "Hey, that's a great idea. Let's go out and do it." So again, thank you everybody. Thank you all for coming.